We thought we were about to become the next Guns N' Roses, but as soon as we finished the album, we found out we had to change the name of the band because there was another band called Majesty.
We had a bunch of very silly names.
Finally, my father, who lives in California, suggested the name Dream Theater based on a movie theater out where he lived.
Everything was new, and it felt great. You know, it was, wow, we have a record, it's coming out. It was a mix of excitement and also a bit of hardship because it wasn't everything that we thought it would be the first time around.
The record label didn't really do anything with it, so we never toured. We didn't have a lot of support.
They promised to make a video, they promised to put us on tour, and all those promises were just empty promises. Nothing ever happened. We did a couple local shows around Long Island.
Suited man smiled, said, it's just a matter of time. You can have the world at your feet by tomorrow, just sign on this line. Hold tight, limelight, approaching a paramount with the sun in our eyes. Fearing family ties, legalize compromise in a dimly lit room.
And so we're sitting there kind of in the same situation that we were before the record, rehearsing during the week and holding regular jobs. But over that course of time, we started to realize that Charlie wasn't the guy for us either.
His stage presence at the few shows we did wasn't exactly what we wanted as a front man. And we were starting to feel the limitations of his voice. You know, we still wanted that operatic Jeff Tate, Bruce Dickinson type singer.
When we parted ways, it was a number of things that happened, and things weren't happening for the band at the time.
And so we started this major singer manhunt, which lasted for something like 1.5 years.
Some guys would work out for a couple days, some guys would work out for a couple weeks, but ultimately we never found the right guy. And it was a really frustrating period, one of the 2 most frustrating periods of the band. And you know, there were times where we often thought of throwing in the towel. It was just that little taste of the music industry that we were given left such a sour taste in our mouth that we were like, you know, it took any fun we once had. You know, as soon as the music industry got involved, it took all the fun out of the original reason we started playing music, which was to make music together. But we kept writing, and the only thing that kept us together was this great music we were writing. We wrote Metropolis and A Change of Seasons and Learning to Live and Take the Time, all these songs that ended up becoming like Dream Theater classics on Images and Words. We wrote during this frustrating period without a singer.
And here was a collection of guys that were really making something. You know, the songs were really cool. The songs were very original sounding and incorporating all the progressive elements and the metal elements and, you know, the classical elements, and which was really, I was just like, wow, this is incredible.
Finally, a tape came our way from Canada.
Well, James's tape came in right before we were ready to commit to somebody, and we loved it.
You know, this guy could sing. He has an incredible sounding voice.
Pulled out his picture and he had the look we were looking for. Wow, this guy's really good looking too, man. You know, he had a great voice and he looked good. Oh, he must be an asshole, you know. We fly him out, he's a cool guy. He really got along with us.
They flew me down, rehearsed, jammed with them, and that's it. The rest is history.
It was the guy that we had spent that 1.5 years waiting for.
We wanted him to be in the band. And
it would enable me as a vocalist to be very diverse. I'd be able to utilize my entire voice, not just one end of it, you know, whether it be the high singing and all that, but I'd be able to express myself with all the nuances that come into singing in any particular song.
He joined the band, and our search for our singer was over, and we haven't looked back since.
Basically, when this all started happening with Dream Theater and Images and Words came out, I knew it had the potential that we could really be riding a great wave here.
We had interest from Atco Records, but we had to get ourselves out of the mechanic deal, and we had to pay a lot of money to get out of that deal, but we did, and went forward with Atco Records.
I remember being at Bear Tracks during Images and Words, just finishing the album and going, right, it's for real. I finally sung an official album, you know, and it was a great feeling.
There is something that I feel to be something that is real.
I remember when we were recording this, everything sounding really good. Like in a way, like I've never heard us sound good before, you know? When John was laying down the tracks for Pull Me Under, like overdubs and things like that, and like it just, I couldn't believe how good it sounded.
Now, let's go forward, you know, and I was really anxious and excited to see where it was going to go.
We were just hoping to just maybe go one slight level above When Dream and Day Unite, maybe get a video, or maybe do a tour, but it ended up blowing up way beyond our wildest expectations.
Well, I remember even going out, you know, to tour for that record. And we were in a van driving ourselves.
Playing small clubs, but that was our dream. You know, it was a dream come true. We were playing Boston for the first time, Minneapolis for the first time, Detroit for the first time, Dallas for the first time, Phoenix. You know, we were just everywhere we went, places we never thought we would play. And that was even before the record blew up. Just to get there was awesome. But then all of a sudden, Pull Me Under started to catch on. And when we were doing all those drives in the van, suddenly we would hear Pull Me Under everywhere we went.
Lost in the sky, clouds roll by and I roll with them. Arrows fly, seas increase and then fall again. This world is spinning around me. This world is spinning without me.
Pull Me Under just went through the roof at Hard Rock Radio. This 8-minute song, who would have ever expected it, but I guess it was the right song at the right time.
There was attention being drawn to this band that came out with an album that wasn't your typical radio-friendly songs, and all of a sudden it just exploded. I mean, it was like, right on, this is great, let's go.
And suddenly all of that perseverance was finally paying off, and then we quickly made a video for it. It was a super low-budget video, but the label said, we gotta have something. And next thing we knew, it was on MTV 6 times a day.
Went from like nobody to selling a lot of records, like in a very short period of time.
We finally felt successful. You know, you hear your song on the radio, you're playing shows, you can tell everybody about it. Then we're onto a tour bus. You know, then we're going to Japan.
And it was exciting because we were all doing this world tour. So we were going places that we had never gone before. The reaction everywhere we went was overwhelming, and places were sold out. And
the difference was really felt. It was like, okay, now we're a professional, viable, real recording and touring band.
It really opened up all the floodgates and laid the foundation for everything we've developed since.
Follow-up album is Awake, and we're coming from an album that was a hit, basically.
Well, Awake was the first album we ever made with an audience waiting to hear something from us.
You know, before we were just writing music in a basement or something and nobody ever heard it. Once you put out a record, people have things they like about it, they have expectations. Then you start putting out multiple records, they have something to compare to, and that's when records start coming out, oh, I don't like this, it's too heavy, it's too soft, I wish it was more like the first one, I don't like the first one, I like this one.
I mean, there's a lot of obvious reasons why things should be successful. It's just timing and a bit of mystery, too.
So it's the first time we ever had to write an album with a clock ticking and knowing that there was a fan base waiting to hear it. So there was an incredible amount of pressure that we had never had before.
Little did we know, I don't know for how long, but Kevin was considering leaving the band and eventually did and told us so while we were recording the record. So it was very weird. The timing was weird, the whole thing was weird.
We had worked and struggled and persevered for all those years. Finally, the ball was rolling, and then one of the members is going to walk away. It was a devastating blow for us.
The album did well for us. It probably didn't do what the label would have liked it to do, but whatever. I mean, for us it was all about the music, and this is where we're going with it, and you gotta come for the ride or not.
It can't be forced to the point where just because you want it to be good, it's going to be good. I mean, that's the way it is. You just having to do something at a particular time, and what comes out comes out.
A question well served, the silence like a fever, a voice never heard, or a message with no receiver.
The things that are happening around us socially, politically, whatever is going on in the world, on a personal level, all kind of works its way into the mix as to what kind of record it's going to be.
And we do it together. It's collaborative. Very rarely will somebody come in with a kind of preconceived idea.
Somebody might have a riff, a beat, a melody, and we jam. We sit there and we play it over and over and over, and ideas develop.
And that's probably why our songs end up being very long, is because it's a big melting pot of all of our ideas.
Desperate to fall.
So we finished the Awake album, and we knew that the tour was going to be shortly after, and we had to start auditioning keyboard players.
And when I first received the songs that I had to learn for the audition, I was absolutely terrified because I had never heard music that insane before. I mean, I played some fusion in music college, but nothing that extreme. So I really looked at it as a great challenge. And
he had just done some tours with Alice Cooper and with Kiss, so he had some road exposure, and but the thing was, he had short hair. We all still had really long hair at the time, and he came in and he had really short hair. This was before short hair suddenly became back in fashion, so we were concerned about it, but he played his ass off, and he had a really fun personality. He was really easy to get along with. We decided to bring him on tour with us for the Awake tour as a hired gun, and after about 3-4 months touring with us as a hired gun, we brought him into the fold as a full-time band member in the beginning of '95.
Well, it definitely got my hands and fingers a lot more nimble than they were, and I really learned a lot from playing with those guys, just as far as being more precise of a player, work ethic. It transformed me from being a sideman to being actually a creative force in a band.